Well, the US President Joe Biden and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed a new era of India-US ties after the White House rolled out the red carpet for the Indian Prime Minister, signing deals aimed at countering China's influence. The two countries announced agreements on semiconductors, critical minerals, technology, space cooperation and defense. Now, amid China's territorial ambitions, Washington is working to deepen its ties with the world's largest democracy and see deeper military-to-military and technology ties in the future. The United States is India's largest trading partner, and some of the new agreements are aimed at diversifying supply chains to reduce dependence on Beijing. Others are aimed at cornering the market in advanced technologies that may feature on the battlefields of the future. The US President and the Indian Prime Minister also ended disputes at the World Trade Organization, and India removed some tariffs on US goods. President Biden and Prime Minister Modi signed off on a deal that would allow the US-based General Electric to produce engines for military aircraft on Indian soil. While India can manufacture jets domestically, it has now secured the technical know-how to make aircraft engines. The country intends to produce more than 350 fighter jets for its Air Force and Navy over the next 2 decades. Under the maritime agreement, the US Navy ships in the region will be able to stop in Indian shipyards for repairs. As per the joint statement, Biden and Prime Minister Modi welcomed India's plans to procure General Atomics MQ-9B drones. The drones, which will be assembled in India, will enhance the intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance capabilities of the nation's armed forces across domains. General Atomics will establish a global maintenance, repair and overhaul facility in India to support New Delhi's long-term goals to boost indigenous defense capabilities. Now, the US chip maker Micron Technology plans a $2.7 billion semiconductor testing and packaging unit to be built in the Indian state of Gujarat. Boeing has announced a $100 million investment in infrastructure and programs to train pilots in India. The US will also make it easier for skilled Indian workers to get and renew US visas. India also agreed to join the US-led Armistice Accord on space exploration. New Delhi also agreed to work with the NSA on a joint mission to the International Space Station in 2024. Now, in his second address to the joint sitting of the US Congress, the Indian Prime Minister underlined a free and open Indo-Pacific as being crucial. Listen in.
The dark clouds of coercion and confrontation are casting their shadow in the Indo-Pacific. The stability of the region has become one of the central concerns of our partnership. We share a vision of a free, open, and inclusive Indo-Pacific.
The India-US bond is underpinned by not just global politics but also business and economics. Trade between the US and India in 2022 climbed to a record $191 billion. The two nations earlier launched a collaborative technology initiative with eyes on future development. Washington and New Delhi have been moving closer for over 2 decades now. Successive US presidents have displayed bipartisan support for stronger ties with the emerging Asian economy and regional power India. President Joe Biden has built that legacy and expanded that cooperation, especially during this visit. And for more on this development, we're joined by retired General Prakash Malik, who was the former Chief of Staff for the Indian Army. General Malik, thank you very much for talking to us this afternoon. Let me begin by asking you, what do you make of Prime Minister Modi's US visit? This to many seems the most substantive visit in terms of outcomes and deliverables, particularly in the defense sector, sir.
I agree with you that this has been a substantive step forward, and it has left behind all the other agreements that we had signed with each other ever since, I would say, the beginning of this century. And this has got a very large scope, and both in terms of purchasing some equipment like the drones, which are absolutely state-of-the-art, more capable than anything else that anyone has in Asia, and also having capability now to produce engines for our LCA, our Tejas 2 aircraft and other aircraft in India. So these are two straightaway visible, but the other not so visible agreements are, as you mentioned yourself, on semiconductors, on the kind of facility that we are providing to each other in defense capabilities. So much so that even at the academic level, startup level, on the financial side, we have now got Indus X agreement with each other. So there is a huge progress on the defense cooperation between India and US. And I think primarily because we both see China coming across as an adversary both in India Pacific region on the eastern side of China as well as on the southern side of India. So there's been good progress which has been made with Prime Minister Modi's visit.
Yes, absolutely, sir. General Malik, you talk about China being a factor and, of course, America trying to counterbalance that, especially in the Indo-Pacific. The Prime Minister also spoke about that while in the US. He made a comment saying that dark clouds of coercion and confrontation casting their shadow over the Indo-Pacific. But more importantly, sir, many would also believe that this is a way of America to wean off India from Russia dependence also, given how heavily invested the Americans are in the Russia-Ukraine war as well.
You know, for a long time now, we've been trying to diversify our purchases, not only from Russia, but also we've been taking stuff from Israel, from France, as you know, the fighter aircraft that we have purchased from France. And similarly, we have also been purchasing a lot of defense equipment from USA itself. It is in our interest to diversify our resources as far as defense is concerned. And what we are primarily interested today are the defense technologies, because we want our own country to become self-sustenance, or having Atmanirbharta in defense equipment. And that is what has been facilitated in the recent years with the USA. So that's a huge step. In addition to buying things off the shelf or in semi mode. So this is a big step, because now we are getting technologies and we will be able to establish defense industry much better than we were able to do earlier with Russian cooperation.
Right. General Malik, in many ways, the White House has actually wanted to really own this visit. They've made sure to stick to the positives. What should we make of America, as you said, willing to transfer critical technology to India, especially for jet engines?
Well, as I said, that jet engine being manufactured in India, it gives us a great boost in our aircraft manufacturing, both for fighter aircraft as well as for the other aircraft. And it's the first time that we will be able to have the GE engine being manufactured in India by the HAL. So all in all, there is no doubt that all these things are in the national interest of both India as well as USA. And the fact is that today, as far as likely adversary China is concerned, we are together. We acknowledge that yes, there is a threat. The kind of aggression that China is showing on its own eastern front, that is in front of Taiwan or in South China Sea or even in Indian Ocean. So there is a convergence of our interest. The second thing that I want to mention here is that, you know, in whole of Asia, other than China, India is the largest and the most, I would say, powerful country. It is an emerging, not only a regional power, but also a global power. So here our interests coincide, strategic interests quite coincide, and that is the reason why America is also showing greater interest in our manufacturing capabilities.
General Malik, on the specifics of the Predator drone deal, why do we need them? Can you throw some light on it in terms of how it will aid our military?
Predators are today's state-of-the-art. They are almost like fighter aircraft, but unmanned. Right. And the kind of aviators we will be buying from USA, they will be utilized by the Army, Navy, as well as Air Force. All three services will be able to make use of them. They have got different capabilities, but its overall capabilities, if I can mention to you, it can stay in the air for almost 14, 15 hours at a time, along with all its equipment. It is useful for our gathering of intelligence, carrying out surveillance, as well as getting the targets on the other side. It can use air-to-ground missiles. It can also use laser-guided bombs. So it's a huge capability. As far as I know, China doesn't have the kind of UAVs or these predator drones in its own inventory. And this can be used both against China as well as Pakistan if there is a need.
Right, that's very important, sir, what you say about the Predator drone and its use. Let me then also ask you about India allowing, Indian shipyards for, military use for the US, for repair and other reasons also.
Yes, this is a facility. In fact, we have been, once we had signed an agreement called LIMOA, which was for logistic purposes, so that this facility became available to USA, and now we will be able to give them more assistance. And this kind of a facility is required by both nations. The USA can make use of our ports for logistic facilities, repair facilities. Similarly, wherever they have agreements, we can also use those facilities, whether it is in South China Sea or on the Indian Ocean ports, where they have their facilities. So it's a good step that we can make use of. It is applicable to both the navies.
Right, General Malik, thank you very much for talking to us. Appreciate all the insight that you've given us on why the defense deals are so critical for India, especially with the aggression we've seen lately from the Chinese. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.